Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Richard, founder of Short Term Rental University and Airbnb Superhost. This video has been a long time in coming. In fact, I've renovated my entire apartment before I could film this video, and it's about time. We're about to break down sort of my initial takes on the August smart lock that I installed for my personal use, not my Airbnb use. That video is going to come later once I install a second one. But I started this project over a year ago when I hadn't renovated my place, so you're going to see different surroundings, and that's why it's just taken a long time to actually get it installed, which is really the first thing I want to talk about. The installation process was a little bit of a nightmare for me personally. It could be a weird lock that I had or a weird door. I'm also not particularly handy, but trying to get it all organized, Charles and I tried together, and then I called the locksmith and he had to order some things, and long story short, given the amount of time that I travel and my presence there, this thing has been pending and on my to-do list, but didn't get done, and now it's finally done. The installation is done. It took longer than I would have thought. It probably cost me about $500 to get it installed and change my locks and do all of that. But, it's done and it's in, and I wanted to live with it first before I put it and synced it with my Airbnb. I'd like to be the guinea pig. I'd like to know the good, the bad, the ugly before I put it into my hospitality program. So my goal in using a smart lock for my business is to really just make the whole check-in process even smoother, make it easier. Right now we have different lock boxes or hidden keys or instructions for people to find keys, and it works really well. We have almost no incident, but it still just seems like it's not necessary. In today's world, it should be synced to my Airbnb, a specific code generated for the length of their stay that they can use quickly and easily, and then it gets wiped out, and so I have safety, they have convenience, and that just makes a lot of sense to me intuitively. So in the unboxing, I basically found what seemed to be a very high quality, really well built and engineered product. I must say it's really cumbersome, and that's probably the biggest drawback I have on the whole thing. Even though it's got a nice design aesthetic, the thing is big. It's bigger than I would have thought, and that's a detractor for me. I also purchased a keypad, and that's basically a standalone unit that I can make a one-time code using the app and give the plumber access or the handyman access or whatever, right? So it's not generating a code to the lock itself, but it's now generating a one-off code or a permanent code that somebody can come and use the keypad. And I thought that was a really important thing, because if I'm automating everything, I want to be able to select who has access, when they have access, for how long they have access, and the August Smart Lock allows me to do that with this keypad. So in a nutshell, I've been using this personally for about 30 days, and I really like it. It's made my life much easier. It's reliable, it's safe, it's secure, it works really well. So that's the positives. I do want to give you some concerns that I have. One is that it's battery operated, right? So you need to change the batteries. You need to remember to do that. And we're creating some automation here at STRU to help people remember when to do certain things, like change the batteries and smoke detectors. More on that in the future, but that's a concern. You can't just have this thing, set it, forget it, and abandon it. You need to stay on top of it. It requires some maintenance in the form of new batteries. I think they last about a year on average. I'm going to change mine out proactively. I'm not going to wait for the thing to start beeping. I'm just going to change it on a calendar, and I'd recommend you do the same thing. A second concern I had, and a very real issue for me, was, while the system itself works off of batteries, it also connects to your internet, in my case Wi-Fi, and I had power go out in my entire building, so I lost Wi-Fi, and so therefore I couldn't really come and go into my unit the way that I would expect, because it is Wi-Fi driven. If there's no internet and there's no Wi-Fi and the power is out, then the lock doesn't work. Fortunately, I was forward thinking, and I would encourage you to do the same thing and have a backup plan. So I had a key hidden, and I actually entered my place the old school way. I put the key in and I opened the lock and waited for the power to come back on. But imagine if this was a guest and you didn't have a backup plan, it'd be near disaster. Somebody would be making a special trip there with a key, and let's just avoid all that. So even though the smart technology is really smart and it works really well, it's dependent on power to the building and the internet and Bluetooth and all these things that require power. And so let's just dumb it all back down and put a backup plan in place with a simple key hidden somewhere or in a lockbox, so that if and when this stuff does happen, because it always does happen, you're prepared and it's not an emergency and nobody's birthday dinner is ruined. And as I said before, coming from a design aesthetic perspective, I think the unit is really bulky. I mean, it's nice design, but if they can make this thing 1/5 the size, I would be a much bigger advocate of it. Right now, you kind of look at this big hockey puck on my door. and I just try not to look at it. So those are my initial impressions. I wanted to document it. We get a lot of questions on the Facebook group. If you haven't been over there, go check out the Facebook group. Tons of content, 12,000 guests that are like interfacing and giving tips and questions, and it's just a great community. But we got asked a lot about smart locks, and people were asking me about my August because they knew this was happening. So I wanted to document this, but my first impression is so positive. When I get back to Jackson, I'll be installing a second August lock on my Airbnb. We're gonna get it syncing and test that whole like check-in process, see what guests think of it. And after several months of experimentation and learning from it from the Airbnb perspective, I'll film another video telling you what I think of August for Airbnb applications, not just me personally. But overall, thumbs up, big supporter. I like it a lot. It's made my life much easier. I love not having keys and just having my phone. It's just the way to go, but have a backup plan. Thank you very much. Leave comments below. What smart lock do you like? What have you experienced? What do your guests think of the August or any other smart lock? And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please, I'd appreciate it very much.